So now we've defined the connection object. What I need to do is have another object which will hold the actual URL. Now we're storing these in objects. They're already built for us. They know what to do. When you get into object-oriented programming, it will probably make a little bit more sense on what I'm saying. If you don't understand it at the moment, don't worry. We're just going to have a type which is going to hold that, and that's the only thing that that type can hold, which is a URL. It can't hold any sort of string like hello world. So let's give us a couple of lines and start typing it in. Let's make it clear. So the data type is a URL, and as we can see, I've typed URL, all capitals, and it's telling me it's in the java.net library, which we've got a java.net. It's in the same library as this one, HTTP URL connection, so hopefully it will load it in for me. If we don't, we'll have to type it. I'm going to give it a variable name. It doesn't look like it's got it. URL. Actually, I wonder if it would be better if I clicked on here. Maybe the automation might help. Nope. URL equals, and because it's an object, every time I want to use an object for the first time, I have to say I want a new object, and the kind of object that I want is a new URL, and I need to set it up, pass in some details, which is the actual URL. I'm not going to type the URL there. I'm not going to type that in. What I'm going to do is use that array that I showed you earlier from strings. So if I type in there strings 0, so now that has the information about the URL that I want, and if I end the line with a semicolon, there we go. So all we need to do is resolve this small problem where I need to import that library. Normally I get a little red message over here, or an orange message that I can click on, and it should manage this. Or maybe if I can click on the little red problem up here, telling me I've got 2 errors, there we go. That tends to give me the bulb, which then I can select. Now it's given me quite a lot of things that I could do. Generally, when you do this, it's always the first one that's there. So the first one is saying import class. Class is an object. So click the class, and as you can see, it's imported the java.net.url. Everything's gone black, and we are good to go. However, it is still giving me a little red line underneath. I've made no spelling mistakes. But what it's saying when I hover the mouse over it is that it's an unhandled exception. Now this doesn't happen when you're in Python. You're responsible for setting your own exceptions. Because we're in Android, because this is supposedly an intelligent IE integrated development environment, it's trying to give me clues on how to manage my programming, and it's saying what I really need to do, because if there is no web address here, if there's no URL, or if it's a string with like hello world, then this is going to crash, and we don't want that to crash. And so as we do in Python, what we do is put that between some try and except blocks. So by doing this, it's trying to help me by saying I've got a malformed URL exception, which means if I don't send it in a correct one, maybe I've missed the HTTP, I'm going to get a problem. So if I click on it again, there we go, I've got my little red item at the side. I think in Windows, if you just right click, you can manage this one. There's no right click button on a Mac mouse, so I'm just reliant upon these. And if I click on what it is, the top one says surround with try catch. So I'm going to select that. You could have typed it in, but what it's done is it's going to try to set the string to a web address, a URL. If that is malformed, in other words, if it doesn't contain HTTP, or we've got backslashes instead of forward slashes, or it's just a basic string, it's going to say, oh, I'm sorry, that's not a correct one. and it's going to have an exception or raise an exception. It's going to say, oh, it's malformed, it's not proper, and it's going to store that in a variable e, and there's some little magic items called e and a function called print stack trace, which will, if we get a problem, will appear down here. So that will give me some indication as to what's going on. But all that was done for you. So if you do that in the way that I've shown you, that's great. You'll be able to click on the little hints and what have you to build the code for you. If you don't click on the hints, you're going to have to type these things in yourself.